This is Governor Bobber. I like good day, doctors.
George Allen here. Good day, doctors.
Go!
You're watching Dr. Politics.
Welcome, everybody. It is Friday, and it is Friday, August 18th. Wow, we're almost through the month of August. Summer's almost over, and here we are. It's growing season. I've got buckets of tomatoes and peppers and stuff like that.
And you mentioned rhubarb.
Yes, yeah.
How did you grow that if you didn't plant it? What happened?
I had it last year, and I didn't like rhubarb. There's nothing really much I could do with it, And I don't like pies because everyone knows my view on basically the fact that I think fruits and desserts don't mix. And so I've got rhubarb coming up. It's funny. It's coming up from the mulch too. I mulched over it, and I figured the frost would have killed anything that was left. But I guess rhubarb's pretty hardy.
I guess so.
Well, when I saw that, it made me wonder, why do they call a fight on a baseball field a rhubarb? I don't know the answer to that, but
maybe one of our viewers will. Yeah, we got some great viewers. Oh, look, we got comments already. Yes, it is Friday. And welcome.
Is that Susan Baker from Churchill?
Yeah. Yes, that is Susan Baker from Churchill. Yes, it is.
Susan and I had the best time last Saturday.
Over at Patches
I actually would like that. Yes, it's a funeral, but it's nice to celebrate life by having a good sense of humor.
Yeah, and you definitely need to come September 7th. We're doing that at the Model Cheers in Olney. We're doing, hey, Dr. Shepard is just out of surgery.
All right, sorry.
Welcome, Dave.
Nice. Hey, sorry.
Hey, Dave.
We were just talking about our passing our dear friend Katja Bullock. We were at the funeral last Saturday. It was like the who's of national politics.
Who was it? I'm sorry.
Katja Bullock. I've known her for a very long time, but she also knew Paul Weyrich.
All right.
And
I heard you mention her.
Yeah, she used to come to CPAC and stuff like that.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah, I watched the video of that.
The stream.
I thought the son did a good job.
Yeah.
Al
did a great job.
Yeah.
One of my favorite lines he delivered was that his mom treated him like a mother. She was like a mother to Al.
Yeah.
She was a mother to everyone. That was the point.
Was. And let me tell you, she was. Matt Schlapp was one of her children as well. ACU chairman Matt Schlapp. And she had, she commanded respect. As I was talking to Kendall Orlick, I go, it is like when you tell your boys to do something and they just do it. They don't ask questions. She goes, yeah, that's nice in concept. They're not at that. But she was, and I go, that's what it's like. It's like when your mom tells you to do something, you don't ask why, you just do it.
Yeah.
It's like but
I'm glad to see though when I was watching that I guess she had gone off and had a big birthday celebration and all that, and that came back and then got the diagnosis, and at least she went fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Did you notice the award that she received in 2007? It took that long for her to get that award, and it was because she chose to be an American. Dwight, do you remember that?
Yeah. And I tell you, we had to keep, like, we had to make it like a state secret. We made her the Republican of the Year in Montgomery County in 2015, 2016, somewhere around then. And no, it would have been 2017 actually. And Governor Ehrlich came to present the award to her as well. And she, she really enjoyed it, but she does not like acknowledgement and stuff like that. I was looking for pictures of her from various VIP events. She would never be, you'd never find her in the VIP. She'd be doing the front desk registration and stuff like that for all the dinners and stuff like that.
That was a hallmark of hers, as though, is that, I mean, you couldn't get, she was always there. I mean, I think she enjoyed the checking in process, but also she was just good at handling all of that.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, we see Susan Baker is listening in here. She told me that she was in the movie Forrest Gump when Abbie Hoffman was delivering his speech in front of the Lincoln Memorial. So Susan will be glad to know I actually went looking for the back of her head in that movie the other day.
Wow, we got a celebrity here, Susan. Extra in an Academy Award-winning movie.
I had a friend who was an extra in a movie, and he had a lot of time. I mean, I was surprised. He was a cameraman, and I used to just see him in the scene. Boy, he had a lot of time. It wasn't quick. A lot of times you think if you blink, you miss the person, but he was in there a good bit.
It's funny. My friend,
I didn't find you. I'll have you and I, Susan, will have to watch that video together.
My friend Wendell, who's an attorney who was living up here for a while, the Avengers was filmed outside of his law firm office in Atlanta. And I go, you didn't get to go in and be an extra, like a somewhat random guy walking into the office. And he goes, no such luck. But it's great. I mean, evidently, DC, they're always looking for extras, evidently, for various movies, everything. I know when they did Wonder Woman 1984, they were looking for a lot of extras for that movie, And it's kind of nice.
They're not looking for extras these days, are they? Anywhere.
No, because Hollywood's on strike. And you know something? I don't know. I'm kind of, I know a lot of those writers aren't making a lot of money, but I'm like, Rob and Laura Petrie were right. Rob was the writer. She was a stay-at-home mom. They were able to afford a beautiful home in Westchester County.
That's true.
New Rochelle, were they not?
What's that?
Didn't Rob and Laura Petrie live in New Rochelle?
New Rochelle, yeah. That's Westchester County, isn't it? Yeah.
Tried to slip that by us, did you?
Yeah. But I mean, what's funny? The neighbor, Millie, she was the grandmother on the Nanny show. On the Nanny it's actually one of the few shows that were. I like to think of the Nanny, the Fran Drescher show, as like I Love Lucy, The Next Generation, because it was really the same show. And there's a lot of references, like an episode where she's going to take her boss his suitcase to, and she had to go, and he was already on the plane, so she had to buy a first-class ticket. Then she gets stuck in the closet, and he makes a comment like, this could only happen to you, Mrs. Carmichael, and that was her character in Here's Lucy, where Mr. Wilson, the second Mr. Wilson from Dennis the Menace, played her brother-in-law and boss, Mr. Mooney.
That was Gail Gordon.
Yeah, Gail Gordon. Gail Gordon also was on I Love Lucy. He was was the owner of the nightclub, and they showed up late to the. That's a hilarious episode. You gotta watch. Anyone who hasn't seen that's a great episode. And they show up late, so she bites into a wax apple.
By the way, Dwight, if I'm going to jump in now. Last week, my sister asked me, what is the purpose of this podcast? And I thought, well, what's the mission statement? So I've got an idea, but you want to hear my idea first? Yeah,
I'll hear yours, and then I'll tell you what.
Discussions in the political arena, the goings-on in the political arena, and we come just short of saving the world.
That's right. That's about right. And we talk about everything in between, like we talked about RuPaul. I mean, what other shows were you going to know about gardening, cars, airlines, and all sorts of everything in between, so to speak,
And the show keeps the name of Spiro Agnew alive.
Yes, it does. The Honorable Spiro Agnew.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dwight may be the only person that mentions Spiro on a regular basis in this.
Yeah.
Well, actually, his nephew is on the Baltimore County Central Committee.
Mm.
Maybe we should do a little Spiro Agnew thing at some point. Do like a special Agnew show.
Dwight, I have a feeling if you had a kid, you'd name him Spiro.
No, I would not. No.
Or maybe a pet. You can have a pet, Spiro.
No,
You're Spiro.
No, Chuckers is a better. If I had a pet, I don't like pets. I'm sorry, I'm just not gonna be that guy. It's just too much work taking care of pets. But
they can get expensive.
Yeah, I know. It's like it's like my friend Steve from the old days was from Wisconsin, and I asked him, "Hey, did you have any pets?" He goes, "Why do I want a pet?" He goes, "I have to take care of it. I have to feed it." And he goes, "It costs money to feed pets. That's money out of my inheritance that's going to go to feed the dog." I mean, I had fish, and they were pretty easy to take care of,
I don't know. I think they're worth it if you really love a pet and a certain type of pet.
Yeah. But see, I grew up. I was allergic to cats. I'm still allergic to cats, frankly. Dog dander, cat dander. Cat dander was a lot worse than dog dander. So I never really had pets. Fish was the only pets I could really have because they're in the water and they're so.
Well, just so you know, like Samoyeds. Samoyeds are hypoallergenic. My son has had 2 Samoyeds.
Oh, really?
And that's one of the reasons people get them. They're also a sweetheart of a dog.
Yeah.
Well, fish are they're like a low maintenance pet, so to speak.
It's not. He is not low maintenance. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah.
No, but fish are goldfish. Goldfish, koi, very low maintenance. You sprinkle some food in the tank.
Yeah, but they don't. They don't really like do anything.
But you don't need a fish sitter. You don't need a fish sitter either. Or take a fish to a kennel.
Yeah.
But I say, the whole, but if you like pets, good on you. I'm just not a pet kind of person. That's just me.
Well, I went through a divorce and I lost the 2 cats and I miss them the most.
Cats are evil, so to speak. But.
Oh yeah, I mean, and pets can be. They wind up being kind of in the middle of those kinds of things too. When people separate, whether it's husband and wife or boyfriend or girlfriend, it's like a lot of times they fight over the pets. It's amazing.
Yeah. I lost
very
them.
attached.
I lost them, but anyway. Wow.
Well, I tell you, new kind of thing I've been watching on YouTube are people that do analysis of television shows and all that. And there's a guy that does an analysis of My 600-Pound Life.
Mm.
And I'm like, I'm every time I see that, I just, I mean, I can say this. I mean, I was north of 300, 350, back then, back in the day. And now I'm down to 168. I hover 168, 172.
Well, that's good. That's good.
And it's like, I wonder, it's like, would you get like a hint, like when you're hitting around between 2 and 300, 350 in that range, you kind of would be like a wake up call.
Yeah.
Like for me, it was like there was a photograph of Katya and I at a fundraiser in 2010. I'm like, I look like Jabba the Hutt because you can see my neck now, but it was like this. There was no neck, I'm like, I look Jabba the Hutt. I got to do something about it. And I tell you, you'd be amazed how much weight you lose just by not eating out and giving up sodas.
Yeah. Well, Dwight, it's good that you lost the weight because, you're still with us, but you can't, carry that type of weight like the people you mentioned in My 600-Pound Life. You're just not going to make it that long being that heavy.
Yeah, I mean, look at Lynn Nossinger. He was a heavy-set guy, Reagan administration. I want to say he made it to about 80 years old, I think, is when he passed away. He was like in his 80s.
I guess that's true, yeah.
Mike Pompeo dropped a lot, did he not?
That's
yes,
right.
he did. Yeah.
Remember Jerry Nadler, probably the fattest guy I ever saw on Capitol Hill.
Yeah.
Well, didn't you just flash a picture of Chris Christie, right?
Yes, let me show that. This is the new Chris Christie campaign
oh wow.
bus. Yeah. Happy all around. And I understand Chris Christie's going to make this announcement at the debate next week. You know how you've got two chickens in every pot and 2 cars in every garage. He wants everyone to have 24 donuts in the morning.
Well, remember when he ran? Remember when he ran and his opponent made fun of his weight, sort of, because he talked about Chris Christie throwing his weight around.
Mm-hmm.
That was his little dig at him.
But that was when we liked it, when we said that was fat shaming Chris Christie.
Yeah. Probably.
And that was before he gave Barack Hussein Obama a great big bear hug in 2012. Yeah. But presidential debates are next week.
Oh yeah.
And
Krispy Kreme,
Krispy Kreme has surpassed Governor DeSantis in New Hampshire. What is the matter with New Hampshire voters, for crying out loud?
I think part of it is that that's more Christie's neck of the woods, and he spent more time there anyway.
Yeah, true.
DeSantis hasn't invested a lot there, but I think DeSantis has still got a lot of issues going on here with his campaign. They are just spinning right now. And
yesterday, or was it yesterday? The day before, so his PAC leaked some secret memo, which was a fake secret memo.
Yeah, that none of that kind of stuff helps DeSantis at all.
No.
I'm looking for the debate for DeSantis to kind of plant a flag a little bit in the ground area, because he hasn't really broken out. His initial polling, I think, was just the kind of the Florida surge, all the things he'd done in Florida, but he hasn't been very dynamic and other things so far, and so he just hasn't really gained really any traction. So guys like Christie in certain areas can get there. Vivek has had a surge.
Speaking of Vivek, he's speaking October 3rd in Prince George's County at their Lincoln Reagan dinner in Bowie at the Comfort Inn.
That may be great, because I think right now he's riding a wave. Tim Scott is pouring a ton of money into ads and things like that. So there are these people that see this opportunity, because DeSantis was the strongest challenger and has been fading poll wise, and they're like, well, here's an opportunity. Trump still got this ridiculously large lead on all of these people.
I don't understand. I really don't understand the left. Okay, they're trying to hand this election to President Trump. Every time you indict the guy, he raises another $100 million or so.
Yeah.
If you really want to,
and he sucks out all the oxygen. He gets all the attention.
Yeah, if I were the Democrats, and I would have learned by now. And if I were a Democrat, I'd drop all the charges, say there's nothing there, so to speak. But no, they just can't let it go. They're going to hand this. They're going to basically, Joe Biden's going to go down, and President Trump's going to get elected president, because they are every time they indict him. There's supposed to be some other indictment coming up now. I'm trying to think where. I'm surprised our own prosecutor here in Montgomery County or in Baltimore City doesn't want to indict the president for something. Like he had crab cakes and he didn't put Old Bay on him, and maybe that's the reason to indict the president.
Hey, guys, go back to the idea of the debates.
Yeah.
Who derives benefit from the debates, and what good are debates? How do they impact what's going to happen when elections happen?
I think it helps the people that are on the fence. Like, let's say if you've got a stalking horse, let's say your guy is Vice President Pence. You're going to be for him after the debates.
Sorry, really did you say that again?
Stop eavesdropping, Siri. It's really weird, Like I turned off Alexa because she kept doing similar things, But as I was saying, like if Vice President Pence is your guy, unless they do something really, really stupid, your guy's gonna be your guy. But if you're an independent, like my dad used to be like an independent on these things, like, for some reason, he really got excited about Ron Paul. When Ron Paul was running, I'm like, Dad, what are you doing supporting Ron Paul? Ron Paul's a hound, pretty much, He's not even a true Republican. He used to be a libertarian. And he just came over to our party because he couldn't win an election as a libertarian.
Well, there's another topic maybe you can help me with, Dwight, or Don, or David. One of my friends asked me my thoughts about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He evidently had a lengthy interview out in Iowa, and he asked me what was my opinion of Robert F. Kennedy. So I want to cheat and ask you guys to help me answer my friend's question.
Well,
Your opinion,
I saw he was on over the weekend with Armstrong Williams, who used to be at NET.
Oh, good grief. What a panderer.
And he was interviewed Robert F. Kennedy for like 30 minutes. I mean, a nice long interview. And I thought Kennedy did well. I thought he came across as not a kook, took strong positions, but he gave his opinion, seemed to back it up. So Robert Kennedy.
By the way, breaking news here, real quick. Thank you, Susan, for that. But anyways, you were saying RFK was on Armstrong's show?
Yeah, and I thought he did well. I thought he gave a good interview. But I don't know the mind of Democrats as much, so I don't know how he's going to play in the primaries. I assume he'll get enough. He'll get 15% maybe. Enough Democrats that just can't stand Biden. But
yeah, well, here's the thing: Joe Biden's not going to debate him. So I mean, honestly, if Joe had to be forced, then again, if he does, maybe pulls off a Eugene McCarthy in New Hampshire. Then Joe might have to debate him. I don't think Joe quits like LBJ. Joe would actually take him on in a debate. It'd be like Grumpy Old Men Part 3.
Someone was saying, and I didn't think about this, but that
we lost you, Rich. What happened?
Someone was saying that if Trump's the nominee, Biden won't debate him because Biden will get out of it this way. It's not the virus or anything, but Biden can use as an excuse. He'll say, Trump's been indicted. I can't be, as president, debating someone who's been indicted. And he might try to use that to dodge the debate. So I thought that was an interesting approach.
And it's plausible with the Democrats and the Biden strategy. The last thing the Democrats want is a Biden-Trump debate at this point in time. If Trump stays on message and and listens to people, he can totally destroy Biden as long as he stays in his lane. Yeah. And and I think that's what one of Trump's strengths. Biden is, that speech he gave in Milwaukee this past week. Mm-hmm. It was horrible. It's like how can you even as a reasonable Democrat watch something like that and say, yeah, that's the guy I want to have serve as president for another 4 years. Just he's stumbling over himself. He's outright lying about things, and like, look, I mean, this day and age, you say something that's a lie, it's going to be fact checked and shown. They can do that so quickly in this day and age. This is not something where you have to wait for the newspaper the next day or so to kind of go and do a fact check. It's instantaneous almost. And Biden's been able to survive it so far, but that's because he's a president, and so is Kamala as the VP. But they start getting on the campaign trail, and if they have to start having these debates, that's not good. I know Rich isn't here anymore, but on the program right now. But I agree with you, Dave, in the sense of Kennedy has had some pretty good interviews. Yeah. Not all the time. He's
back.
But he's when Kennedy stays on message, he's pretty good. He sounds like a pretty reasonable guy, and he definitely sounds more competent than the president at this point in time. I mean, I think that Kennedy can speak off the top of his head so much better than Joe can at this point in time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you heard, and here's the thing, RFK, he's your throwback 1970s Democrat. He's still a New Dealer, He still wants to save Social Security. He's big into New Deals, but he is also, he loves his country. Unlike the Democrats of today, who hate their country. They wish they were. They wish they were like tin horn dictators. I mean, a lot of them will kind of behave like that. President Biden. And I cannot believe the lies they're peddling with about how Bidenomics is working.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you guys listen to Matt Boyle on XM Radio, but he said something that was like, I'm like, did you really say that? It was, we're finally moving away from Reaganomics and trickle down economics. I'm like, what kind of a Republican are you? I mean, I'll put Reaganomics up against Bidenomics every day of the week, and we win.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Rich, is there something going on with your mic?
Let's take a look.
Yeah.
Okay, it should be unmuted now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but we were hearing like an echo for a while. But it's gone now. Whatever you did work.
All right. Yeah, I'm okay.
But it's like they're putting up. I mean, I don't understand what is some Republicans' problems with Reaganomics. Reaganomics worked very well for us, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have.
Well, what's funny about Bidenomics, though, too, is just that, I mean, this is more of a term that was used by our side, so we can kind of talk about the problems and what's going wrong.
Yeah.
Biden. I mean, the Democrats have decided they're going to embrace that and say Bidenomics is working and everything like that. As he said the other day in Milwaukee, he says inflation's is lower.
Okay,
it's going lower, and I'm like. Check the gas prices, check the food prices. The rate
the average price of gas is around $4 in Montgomery County. It's like hovering around $4 in Montgomery County.
Plus inflation. Plus inflation's on top of inflation, so it's like really 16% inflation since Biden took office.
Right.
And so when he says it's come down to like 4%, well, that's 4% higher than in Trump's. But that would be on top of already higher prices.
I mean, it would be like if we went all the way up to 150 pounds, and we praise ourselves for coming down 10 pounds. That's pretty much what he's done. And I think Joe. I mean, you had crazy Camilla this week cackling as she's talking about Bidenomics. I got a name for your economics. It's called voodoo economics, is what it is. That's what. That's if you want to know voodoo economics, that Bidenomics is voodoo economics.
Except we're the ones that are getting stuck with the pins.
Yes, we are. We are.
By the way, Hans Christian Andersen wrote one of the stories that we all love, The Emperor's New Clothes. Yeah. So in that, there was a young boy in that story that said, "Hey, he's not wearing any clothes. He's naked."
Yep.
So in today's world, who is the young boy that's trying to point out that the emperor is wearing no clothes?
RFK is that kid. RFK, Robert F. Kennedy. He's the one.
And the media is everyone else saying, "Oh no, how could you say such a thing?"
Yeah, it's
meanwhile, who are the tailors for the people that were trying to make the clothes? Who are those people?
They were the Chinese. Those would be the media folks. I should say. Those would be the media people. Only smart people can see these clothes. And.
Yeah, I mean, I think as Dave was alluding to, I mean, just where the prices are today, the figure you can say it's 4% year over year, but we've already had how much in price increases baked into that before that, so it's the 4% on top of everything else.
A bottle of ketchup.
And this is where the Republicans, they need to use that don't hit each other really and attack each other and tear each other down as much as. Let's go and aim at the Democrats and the Biden policies and talk about what you would do differently and how you would turn things around, because there's enough going on in the Democrats that it's just it's just ripe for the picking. I mean, we hit the 1 year mark for the Inflation Reduction Act, for which Joe Biden himself has said I kind of regret naming it that because what's happened since since it's a pork project, right? I mean, they've been throwing tons of money.
I mean, here's the thing. It's like this, right? As I was telling a friend of mine, and I don't like paying these high prices, but I'm gonna, basically complain. I'm not gonna enjoy paying them. I can afford to pay them. I don't like paying them, but that's because I've got a reasonable savings. I got a well-paying job, But what about the average guy who is making $75,000 a year? They have a mortgage. They've got probably car payments. How are they affording to pay $4 for a loaf of bread? Is that not insane? Is it just me, or is that an insanely high price? I mean, this is not even the Pepperidge. This is not even the Pepperidge Farm bread, which is the best bread you could buy. Actually, if you ask me,
that's why we buy our bread at Costco and Sam's.
This is where you get this is like your Myers. It's a step above the house brand, but still, the house brand is also $3 to $4 for a loaf of bread, and it's like, what? Where is the outrage with the people? Remember when President Bush was president, the economy was going along, and you had NBC News do a story about food, people going to food pantries to get their food because of President George W. Bush.
Right.
Yes, you've got places around the world where certain things are subsidized by the government, right? It can be some of the basics like that. In some of the oil-rich countries, it can be gas. And then when they decide to get it, lift it back up to a little bit closer to market prices, everybody gets apoplectic because they were used to this, this cheap resource, and like, wait a minute, oh, you mean it really doesn't cost that much? You mean you've actually been pouring all kinds of money to do that? So
yeah, and I know they say the price of eggs is coming down, but is it the same? Has it gotten to the point the price it was in 2020, 2019, 2018? Is it at that point yet?
Yeah. So right. I mean,
it's not.
You have people that are somewhat relieved that you can find eggs for like $2 a dozen or whatever, but we paid less than $1, before.
A couple of years ago, my brother-in-law told me that over the decades, the price of an automobile in America was just about 20 ounces worth of gold. And I just looked it up. Today, it's $1,892 for an ounce. Well, if you took 20 ounces, that would be almost $38,000. I don't know. I haven't priced a car lately. Is that a little bit low?
That's
car?
Even cheap. Cars are now going for 40, 45, 50,000 easily.
An average car, like even let's say a Chrysler minivan or a Dodge Caravan, not even with all not the highest trim level, you're still looking at about $40,000 for it. $40,000 for a minivan.
Well, then that holds true. That holds true then.
But
an ounce of gold is $1,892. $1,892. Is that right? Yeah. That's what I just
here's the kicker, Rich. I remember back in the days of my granddad and my dad, you could buy a car for about a really nice car for about $6,000.
I remember that.
The living room furniture with your top trim level furniture was about $1,000. But you could definitely get some for like $300, $400, $500, which was just as good as the $1,000. And a house was about $50,000 of the median price of a house.
Mm-hmm.
Today, a price of a house is what the price of office buildings used to be. Cars are the price of what houses used to be. Furniture is the price of what cars used to be. It's getting, a lot tougher for people, frankly, to, aren't the Democrats the party of the little guys? Shouldn't they be, did you hear Nancy Pelosi go, we are creating a bunch of good union jobs. Really, you care about the union people?
Don't worry about the cars though, right? Because Joe Biden and Democrats are electrifying America and basically banning the internal combustion engine. So
you know what?
EVs.
Well, it'll be much higher I can't afford an electric car.
And is that going to drive up the price of gold? Will the price of cars drive up the price of gold?
And the looming strike at UAW strike against the big three automakers is not going to be pretty, frankly, for the economy.
Well, yeah, they want a huge increase because of Biden inflation, right?
Yeah.
And so that also will have to factor into the price of cars. I mean, we've seen the differential between new cars and used cars narrow tremendously. Where I've had friends of mine look at buying used cars, and they're like, well, for $5,000 more, I can buy a new car now.
Yeah, because you get delivery on it.
Right, right.
I was over at Sport Cadillac a couple weeks ago, and a used Escalade was $103,000. And I asked the sales guy there, I go, so how much would a brand new one cost? He goes, $105. I'm like, why would if I'm going to spend $103, what's paying $105,000? Granted, I would not spend $105,000 on a Cadillac, frankly, I think my top, if I'm, my top threshold, I would be willing to pay for a car to be about 75 to 80 is what and I'm not getting the top trim level. Even a Yukon Denali is $100,000. And that is, and this is a car that I bought for about $54,000 a couple years ago. It is ridiculous how.
Well, I'm making sure that I properly service my cars. They're going to last me, years.
One of the best things. Keep your cars running. That's the one thing about cars, though, right, Rich? Is that from our day, where 100,000 was like, you would rarely see a car hit that level. 200,000, 250 is not uncommon if you have kept up your maintenance with cars. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean it's. I think.
When you guys remember when Willie Mays was paid $100,000 for a season? That was big news at the time.
Yeah.
Remember Reggie Jackson at $3 million, and they thought, "What a contract! You pay $3 million dollars."
Well, I remember Jack Kemp when he was quarterback for the Bills. He goes. He was saying how when he was, I think he was making about $75,000, something like that, for something in that ballpark. And then when his son Jeff was quarterback, he was making, I think, $4 or $5 million, something like that, along those lines.
I remember Joe Theismann used to tell the story that he was he got to go to the not the Cap Center, but because RFK, the Rolling Stones were playing, and somehow Theismann got to go to give something to the Rolling Stones. He got to be able to see them, and so he's talking to Mick Jagger or one of the Stones about how much money you guys make, because Theismann figured we in the NFL were making on par. And I forgot the figure Theismann gave, like $300,000 to $500,000 or something for a season. And Mick Jagger, one of the Rolling Stones, told him, "Oh, we make that for a concert," or something like that. So
I saw that one coming.
Yeah, that they make a lot more. So anyway,
yeah. But I mean, it's. The fact is, I think, one, the Democratic Party is out of touch with America. They're out of touch with you and your family. The fact that all they can do, like Montgomery County, Montgomery County crime is up, right? We've got crime, running around. We've got our county council just raised our property taxes an insane amount of money. They want to cut services. They want to give the teachers a raise. And you know what our councilmen are doing after they do all this? They're going to Ocean City to party it up at Mako. Never mind.
Aren't they allowed to have fun?
Not when people are being carjacked in Bethesda, for crying out loud. People pay more to live in Bethesda because it's a safe community. You don't want to go there and be carjacked because people like Evan Glass's policies of defunding the police, raising taxes, and it's, they have no shame. They have no shame. You've got our county executives running around Mako, and he's got He's what is it? Hold on 1 second. Let me look it up. He's got a shirt that he's wearing around, telling people, what do you call? Science is not a liberal conspiracy. I mean, come on, Mark Elric. If you believed in science, you believe there's only two genders, not 175,000 million, whatever you want, And how is that different than, when I was a kid, we used to play, games, and we used to play Star Trek, we used to play Star Wars, and I like being a Klingon. How is that any different than what these people are saying? I'm pretending to be a woman now.
Right. What did Elrich say?
Science is not a liberal conspiracy.
What's that got to do with Fauci?
I don't know.
Isn't Fauci science? Isn't he the science?
Yeah.
I am science.
By the way, they only believe in the science that's convenient to them. They believe in the science of global warming. Now I guess they did some market research that climate change is better, but climate changes every day. Yesterday we had a heat index of close to 100. Today it's the nice 85 breezy day outside. It's actually nice outside. I don't know if you guys have gone out today. It's actually not stiflingly hot.
I cut my grass, and I looked at my watch, my Apple Watch later on, and said, while you're out there, this was the temperature and this was the humidity, and it showed the humidity was at 50%. It was like, hey, 50% humidity in DC in August, it's fabulous. We had a nice breeze today. I didn't die out there cutting my grass for a change.
And here's the
by the way, guys, when this podcast is done, I'm going to go look out the west because we're going to have a crescent moon. I have noticed, I'm not into Nancy Reagan type astrology, but after the new moon, people are much more open and friendly, and they certainly were today as I was running my errands around Sykesville.
But people are nicer in Sykesville to begin with. I mean, in Montgomery County, they're not that nice. Let me tell you, today, I was driving, some idiot cuts me off.
Again?
I know. And that idiot is driving slow. Don't cut me off and then just slam your brakes, on a one-lane road, frankly, And what's funny is they pause at the green light, just enough time so they get up, but by the time they get there, the lights turn red. These are, and then like last week there was a biker in front of me without a helmet, taking up an entire car lane, and it's like, even if you honk the horn.
It was a bicyclist, right? A bicyclist.
Yes, a bicyclist, yeah. And I'm thinking,
it's one of Dwight's pet peeves is all of our bike lanes in Montgomery County.
Oh, yeah, yes. Those bike lanes, he got an entire car lane, They close down major thoroughfares on Fridays and the weekends. The weekends I understand. But on a Friday, to cut through, traffic is, I know a lot of the federal government don't want to go back, but people are going back to work now. And traffic is, I'm willing to bet this fall it's going to be back to pre-pandemic levels, the traffic. It's like, I always dread.
Looks like that way now to me. I mean,
yeah.
I go out there.
No, it's not that bad yet because, I can get on in the evenings after 6 o'clock. I can get from, say, Old Georgetown Road up to Gatesburg without too many traffic issues. It used to be I'd get traffic right at the spur, and it wouldn't clear up until never,
Did
the
president call
back
for
on the road? In the future, they're going to require electric school buses. How's that going to work?
Well, let's see. Considering the largest manufacturer of electric buses is in bankruptcy now, and their buses were pulled in Alexander. Those buses were pulled out of service because they were catching on fire. I just want to. Doesn't that just make you just jump on one of those electric buses? It's like riding around a 1977 Pinto.
So now they're going to have fire drills for the kids on the school buses, right?
Well, we used to do those actually when I was a kid, and that was like the funnest thing because you got to get out the back end, you could jump down, and those yellow school buses, it's actually a significant drop, They tell us you're not supposed to. You're supposed to like take the. They put these stairs up, And I'm thinking, in a real emergency, you're not going to be putting stairs up next to the bus. But it was a lot of fun.
This love affair with electric vehicles of all kinds, whether or not it's the buses, the trucks, or whatever. The environmental cost of getting to that point of what it takes to actually put that vehicle together, particularly with the batteries, is always glossed over. And
here's the thing, Don. None of us are old enough to remember, but we did have electric buses in D.C. They were called trams. Remember?
Mm.
They were all. They had. They had that. They were electric. In Philadelphia, they had those trams or trolleys. I think they called them trams in Philadelphia.
Are you talking about with the wires overhead?
Yep.
The streetcars. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I never call them a tram. Streetcars.
Really? Is that maybe it's a Philadelphia? Because I know in Philadelphia they used to call those things trams. And in San Francisco, they used to call them cable cars.
No, they still do, don't they?
Yeah. And the Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat, had the trolley car.
Yeah, that's right.
And who now
is San Francisco treat.
Yeah.
Yes. Nancy Pelosi thinks she is the San Francisco treat, or actually, her San Francisco treat is her $10,000 refrigerator with her $25 an ounce ice cream. I think that she likes to eat. I don't know if it's $25 an ounce, but it's like a crazy, ridiculous amount she pays.
Hey, we got to talk about China. What do you say?
Yeah, China. Let's see. We had Janet Yellen just got back from there, begging the Chi-Coms, with hat in hand. I think we need containment of China, just like we had containment for the Soviet Union. Where are the Dulles brothers of our era right now? They don't exist.
I mean, China's having problems. I mean, the problems in China are now affecting our stock market, right? I mean,
yes, they are.
The economy's not doing well. You always have to wonder about the numbers that were coming out of a communist country anyway, when they're reporting the numbers to begin with. But apparently things are the wheels are falling off the bus for youth unemployment. They don't want to talk about it anymore. So that figure basically, that won't be discussed publicly. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and they have another property company that's collapsing because of the overbuilding. It's just, they have some problems that they have to resolve, on the economic front, and their population is suffering as a result. Plus, just the general continued crackdown in Hong Kong, and how they're trying to reach out and say, you have to go and find these people, these activists, and send them back so we can throw them into prison. I was like, sorry, no, not my problem.
Well, my concern is, Don, is war going to be good business for China in this situation? That crossed my mind.
Yeah.
You've always had war profiteers, as they say. There's an old Ferengi saying, war is good for business.
Yeah. The other thought I had was, let's say that China does collapse. When it does collapse, what's going to happen to fill the void? What is the United States going to do to fill the void? You remember last week we were talking about George Marshall and the genius of George Marshall as it related to Europe. Are we going to be in a position to do something to fill that void as opposed to Russia?
I don't think Russia is kind of like the Ottoman Turks were after World War I. They are a dying empire. They're the sick man of Europe, I think so. The way they fill the void. What could happen is I could see the Japanese coming in, kind of a rehab. It's funny. You'd think we'd let the Chinese have Manchuria today. Just think if the Japanese keep control Manchuria, we wouldn't have half the problems that China we're having today. But I think Japan will kind of step up, I think, in the Pacific Rim, because they've been historical leader. You got the Australians, you got the Indians, you got the Vietnamese, that will step in to fill the void. I mean, as in the manufacturing demand. I think China when it goes under, it's going to go back. It's going to be snapped back to post-war third world country status. Frankly, everyone's driving around in a car. They're going to be back on their bicycles before you know it.
Speaking of Russia being a sick man, did you hear 2 of Putin's generals died within the last week?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
One was in jail. Kind of reminded me of Jeffrey Epstein, the way they account for it. Was he poisoned? We don't know. We think it was natural causes.
Yeah. I mean, remember the spy in London that was poisoned with plutonium?
Yeah.
Paul Shankly had a great song about that too. He did a parody on that plutonium song. I think he did it was a play on Love Potion #9. But
well, one of the generals that died in jail on Monday, he was in jail for bribery. He was brought up on bribery charge. He was responsible for the building of Putin's summer palace on the Black Sea, and he knew all the secrets, all of the back passages, hidden passages. At least that's the way the story read. And then the other general, he was in command at the early goings-on in Ukraine, and so he was relieved of duty. And so that fellow died maybe about 8 days ago.
Yeah, I mean, it was Alexander Levitko, who was the Russian spy that was poisoned by the Russians in London in 2006. I think one of the things is, America needs to rebuild our military. We need to rebuild our manufacturing capabilities because there's going to be a void coming. Okay, when Russia is no longer around, when the Chi-Coms are gone, there's going to be a void, and we will need to step up and fill that void, frankly. Because something, it's kind of like I tell people, around the house, like, well, look, if I don't do it, it just doesn't get done. And if America doesn't do it, it's just not going to get done, frankly.
So what American is going to be able to lead us in filling those voids? Is that person now in their 30s and maybe 10 years, 15 years from now, that person's going to be...
I think Garrett Zaner could lead us. Garrett Zaner could definitely lead us into this era of American hegemony, the second American century. I know a lot of people, like when I was working, there's a fellow named Bill Lind, great guy, and
what's his name?
Bill Lind, William Lind.
Okay.
And he would always say, people have been writing America's obituaries since after the Revolution. And this is like in the 90s when, everybody thought the Japanese were going to take over the world. And this is like right after Japan bought Rockefeller Center. And everybody's like, oh, the Japanese are going to take over. And I feel the same way about China right now. Everybody said the Chinese were going to. I remember when the Japanese were going to take everything over in America. And I think Rockefeller Center is now no longer owned by Mitsubishi. Does Mitsubishi even make cars in America anymore? I know they've retreated a lot.
I don't know. I don't think we always see too many of those. I mean, it's really between our major manufacturers and Kia,
Toyota,
Hyundai,
and Honda. Yeah, that is true. Kia and Hyundai are actually, I think, outperforming Toyota and Honda, frankly. Because the reliability, I don't, a lot of people say, oh, you don't have the reliability. Honda and Toyota have great reliability. But I think Kias are getting there. Hyundai is getting there with their reliabilities.
Well, those guys, look, the Koreans were smart when they introduced their cars into the U.S. market because they had
$49.95 was the Hyundai Excel.
But the key thing to me though was not just the price, but it was really the warranty. They would give you like 7 years and 100,000 miles, something like that. That you have to have a lot of confidence in your cars to be able to say you're going to cover that amount of years and that amount of miles. But that would buyers peace of mind that they can probably have their major issues covered for quite a while.
Yeah, who they learned that from is Lee Iacocca. Remember, Chrysler was giving the longest warranty in the automotive industry for years, 5 years, 50,000 miles. And then they bumped it up to 7 years and 70,000 miles when General Motors decided to give 6 years, 60,000 miles. But the sad thing with, and I love GM cars, so when I say this with love, You know, even the 5-year 50,000 or 7-year 70,000 miles, Chrysler probably lost money on that deal, as did GM, frankly. I don't see Kia losing too much money in their long term. They got I think they had a 100,000 mile warranty at one point.
When they first started selling cars, I think it was in that range.
I think it was 10 years, 100,000 miles, which is like, that's basically the life of a car. I mean, I've had many General Motors cars, every one of them over 130,000 miles. Every one of them, I got them over 130, except the last Yukon because of the accident I had. I just got rid of it because of the accident. Otherwise, that probably would have taken me over 100,000. But I am getting the itch to buy a new car right now. So we're close to final thoughts, Don. So final thoughts time. Let's start with Rich. Final thoughts, Rich.
Okay, so I graduated from Robert E. Peary High School in Aspen Hill. That school closed in 1985. One of our dearest teachers, Vincent Gibbs, passed away on Wednesday night. And all of us, I mean, we're talking about well over 7,000 students are heartbroken because of Mr. Gibbs passing. Last December, my friend Paula organized a group. So we probably had, I'm going to say 150 to 200 people on his front lawn in Germantown. And we paid tribute to him while he was there in the front window. That was a wonderful thing that we did. And we're glad we did it because we weren't too sure that he was going to be able to make it through another year. So I thought I would share that with you. And when I see what's going on in the school systems today, I shake my head. They don't even come close to the way we grew up in the school system. And I don't understand why we can't do that. So that's what I wanted to close with.
David Shepard, final thoughts.
Well, I got my hair cut today, and when I went into the barber, he had a nice surprise for me. It seems that Governor Youngkin did come in. He also cuts Youngkin's hair, and I gave him my book. I said, well, if Youngkin comes, would you give him the book? Not only did he give Youngkin the book, he and Youngkin then posed with my book. So he gave me the copy, and so I was very happy. So I sent that out. So that was very nice. And just working hard and selling the book. I'll be in a couple of different places this week coming up, and so it's going well. But
you're going to be in Carroll County, right? I think.
Yeah, I'm coming up to Maryland again, and I'm looking forward to that. And I'll be in next week. I'll be in Orange County, Virginia, and a couple other places. So it's going well, and I'm just continuing to work at it, and I'm overcoming my poison ivy issue. Boy, that's horrible to get poison ivy.
Is it a month? It's been like a month now, hasn't it? It's been a month.
Yeah, it's just been raging, and they gave me now a cream to use. I don't know when it'll finally go away, but it's not fun. And I never had poison ivy all my life. Never had it until now.
Well, it's like me. Like I want to say about almost 5-6 years ago, I got pink eye for the very first time in my life. That is painful.
Don't you need to change your shoestrings, David?
Is that it?
You have to change, get rid of stuff because the oils are on all piece of your clothing. That's what I read, at least.
Oh, yeah, maybe you're right. I take a lot of walks, and I think I walked through the woods, and I must have gotten it there. And, just hard to get rid of. Anyway, that's about it. So hopefully I'll have a good week. Mm-hmm. And I hope Susan is out there enjoying my book.
Yeah. So, Susan, what do you think of Dave's book? Have you?
No pressure. I just said I hope she
finished it yet
for a quick review.
Oh, well, we got a bunch of comments, which let me just circulate through them. Don, final thoughts while I'm circulating through some of the comments we've been getting.
Okay. Yeah, I want to go back to Rich's comment about Peary High School. So that was one school as a Northwood High grad. We love to hate because their wrestling program was so good.
Coach to coach. They always had a string of great coaches.
Yeah, no, that was a powerhouse in the county for wrestling. So Northwood wasn't bad, but boy, Peary was just superb. So my hat's off to that school. It's unfortunate that we've seen schools like that close in Montgomery County. I mean, Northwood closed for a while and then finally reopened under a new politically correct team name, right? So I think they're the Gladiators now because Indians is verboten. So
I'm offended by Gladiators. That offends me.
You know what I love is I love this whole change.org petition thing that somebody started to change the commander's name back to the Redskins.
Oh, that's right,
yeah, I don't think Josh Harris will do it, but I love the idea. And so many people want to see this happen.
Yeah, that's right.
But Josh Harris sounds like a socialist. Did you hear him on Channel 4 a few weeks ago? He goes, "It's not my team, it's the people's team." Yeah, you freaking communist,
They made a deal with Bud Light. They're bringing back Bud
Light. Yeah, I mean, let's see what happens with this new ownership. I mean,
I'm convinced the whole thing was they didn't like Dan Snyder because he was a Republican. That's all there is to it. I mean, they loved Jack Kent Cooke and they had no problems with the name. And Jack Kent Cooke was a philanderer and he was also the owner of the Redskins. Remember, he got a cheerleader pregnant too. Remember, that's part of the reason the demise of the Redskins ownership after he died.
I mean, Jack Kent couldn't. I mean, he wasn't Lily Curran things, but I mean, Snyder. I don't know. He just made one mistake after another, and including changing the name, which he had said it would never happen.
Yep.
But he goes and he does that to try to placate those that were suing him and all that other stuff, thinking that, okay, if I do this, maybe I take some of the pressure off those other legal woes that we've got. That wasn't going to happen. I mean, they got everything.
It goes back to Connie Morella's biography. I did everything they wanted. They still shafted me. Connie Morella did everything the Democrats wanted, and when the opportunity came, they redistricted her out of her district.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Democrats are they're going to try to take advantage of that as much as possible. I mean, you mentioned redistricting. I mean, that's what they're trying to push through a bunch of nonsense with redistricting in New York, so they can try to flip everything over there. As close as Congress is and may be in 2024, Democrats win a few of these redistricting battles, in between like this. That could be enough to give the Democrats power back in 2024. But a lot will depend upon who's at the top of the ticket in the end too, right?
Yep.
If we can carry the day with that. But just a couple of things. I mean, I had down here too. It's like I haven't seen the film, The Sound of Freedom, but I think it's remarkable what these guys have done to make it the 10th highest grossing movie in America, right? So that's beating some other bigger studios on the domestic box office front, and they're all doing this using their pay it forward program and the word of mouth. I know there's been some criticism of some of the things with the movie, but and the liberties they may have taken, but actually a lot of movies based on actual events tend to take a lot of liberties to spin the tale so that it's more attractive to moviegoers. But I think they've elevated the issue as a result of that, and we're just seeing so many of these things. I mean, Dwight mentioned about all the transgender and all this kind of stuff, and look at Montgomery County. I mean, we have the school board deciding to prevent parents from opting out of this expansive sexual ed program, which gets into all these things, and who's now aligning with us, with the Republicans, with the conservatives? It's CARE. It's the Muslim parents and others.
Yeah, the paraterrorist group that was unindicted co-conspirators, the Holy Land bombings.
Yeah,
CARE. Look who we're getting in. Here's something. Look who we're getting in bed with now. That is despicable. I don't care if CARE agrees with us on this or not. Frankly, CARE is a ruthless organization. They drove out the great Michael Graham off the radio. They drove Fred Grandy off. They basically threatened the Chevy Chase Women's Club when they had Fred Grandy be their speaker back in 2013. And now the Republicans of Montgomery County are now cozying up with CARE. CARE? Really? CARE?
Yeah, I mean, I understand, though, on a bigger picture basis, because, I mean, CARE's got a ton of influence within the Muslim community. And the positive side of this is that they have activated those parents against the county. I mean, this is a very liberal county, right? Nobody will ever deny how liberal this county is. And
but how is CARE any different than the
school board
KKK?
eliminates the opt-out policy, and there's a group of people. Once again, it goes. If you think back, go back, a number of years, when they were trying to do all this other stuff with LGBTQ stuff, and Hispanic parents rose up in anger against the school board and threw them for a loop. I mean, they didn't know what hit them at that point in time. I think the overall thing is a good thing. I mean, I think they're willing to listen to Moms for Liberty, because right now it's about this program. It's about their rights as parents to say, I don't agree with what the county is trying to teach my kids, and I want a chance to opt out. And the county's saying, you have no rights. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
They're taking away the parental rights, and that's just outrageous.
Moms for Liberty in Carroll County have been successful in getting 53 pornographic books removed from the shelf while they're under review. And we can thank Carroll County Superintendent Cindy McCabe. Those books have been removed. They are in the review process, and then hopefully, ultimately, they will be removed permanently.
Yeah, those evil book banning people. Oh, terrible.
They're not banning the book.
That's right.
You can get it from Amazon.
Honestly, it's funny how they talk about. These are the same people that banned Tom Sawyer, Huck Finn, and a whole bunch of great classics, and they want to ban those books, but yet they're calling us the book banners.
Yeah, and they distort the word ban, like you said. It's on Amazon. It's probably in your public library, but you're just talking about a school library. So it's sort of
it's like why don't we just start putting Playboy magazines in the school libraries too?
And if we don't, does that mean we're banning them?
I think so. Putting but it's but my feeling, Donald, and CARE is it's kind of like
the Playboy would be pretty tame to today's standards.
Yeah,
that is true. That is true. I didn't say, okay, maybe they could put Penthouse in there.
That'd be more conventional than.
I mean, now in the internet age, we have gone well beyond.
Where are we going with this?
That is true. That is true.
You know what can happen if we allow this stuff in the schools?
Yeah. And I tell you, that's the other thing, about. But my thing is, CARE is just, it's like, watch out who you're getting in bed with here. These aren't.
I don't have a problem with it. As long as people understand who and what CARE has stood for, then I if they want to band together on this issue, that's fine. Because I think they're doing a good thing in this case. But I also don't want to have it as CARE being the hero, carrying the banner and the torch for all of this. I want it to be the Moms for Liberty. I want it to be the conservatives that are responsible for getting the county. Hopefully the county will change their mind. But when you talked about the property tax increase, this is just this one party politics in this county, in this state. Mm-hmm. This is what we have. Because one of the things that drives me crazy about the property tax thing too is just that assessments have been rising, right? So you're already getting the benefit of rising assessments on the taxes. So now they increase the tax rate. So now they're getting a double bonus. They're getting the extra money from the rising assessments, and then they're adding another 4.7% on top of that, which is like they're screwing me even more. It's like, all you and I as property owners in Montgomery County, we get that property tax bill, and it just continues to go up. Mm-hmm. And what are we getting for it?
Well, let's see. We used to have, when I was a kid, we had trash pickup twice a week. Now it's once a week. They don't take all the recycling anymore because they're lazy, frankly. I was cleaning out my mom's house, and there were a couple of tins of potato chips that I was trying to throw out. I put them in recycling, and they wouldn't take them. I had to call them. They go, "Oh, that's scrap metal. You got to do a special." I'm like, "Really?" I go, "What if I put it in a garbage bag and throw it? Then you take it." They go, "Well, we found out it was from your house. We'd sent you a fine." I'm like, "Really?" It's like, what is the matter with this county? This was a once great county. We had some of the best schools, the highest test scores in the state. Now our test scores are falling. We're crime ridden. We're not. I mean, most people would be smart, to move out to places like Carroll County, Anne Arundel County, Howard County,
or just move out of state.
I mean, if you're a Democrat, don't go to Carroll County, though. You're not welcome. You're not welcome there.
Carroll County fourth graders lead the state in reading level at 35%. That is pitiful. And we're the leader at 35%. What's that say about the state of Maryland's education system?
I mean, back when I was in high school, half the kids in my graduating class probably could not find Carroll County on a map of Maryland. Even though back then Western Maryland University was right there in Westminster, Maryland.
Well, just think. I mean, what if we really put an end to social promotion in the schools? There are a lot of students, right, that do get and have been for a long time. They automatically get promoted to the next grade, even though they're probably not ready for it. And it just compounds things.
If you remember back in the 80s, there was a movie called Teachers with Cher, of Sonny and Cher fame. The ex-Mrs. Bono. Anyways, she sued.
I was going to say, you go ahead and pontificate. I'm going to leave you to close the show. I'm going to shut up.
Okay. Oh, you don't have final thoughts? Sorry, I didn't mean to stuff.
No. I'm going to say I'm done with the final thoughts because it's also been kind of final rant.
Yeah. Final thoughts is October 12th. We're doing a 20-year salute to Governor Ehrlich. Get your tickets. We've just extended the early bird until July 31st. A table is only $900.
July 31st? August 31st?
No,
Did you just say the early bird was extended?
To August 31st, yes.
That's good.
We have such great demand. I mean, there's a lot of people that want to, so
we got our tickets in. Yeah.
You got it in. Yeah.
We got it in, yeah.
And so we've got that. That's coming up. It's at the BWI Hilton. It's going to be a great, great event. A lot of old timers from yesteryears. Because remember, Governor Ehrlich was our first Republican governor since Spiro Agnew. In the state of Maryland, after him, we had, actually, technically, our first Republican governor since Spiro Agnew would have been Ellen Sauerbrei. But
so, Dwight, who is the featured speaker at this event?
Governor Ehrlich. And yeah. And there's some other notable people that'll be there. And number 2 is September 7th, the first Thursday in September. Come on out to Mama Lucia's in Olney. The Montgomery County Home Club is doing our farewell goodbye to Katja Bullock. A lot of her old friends will be there. A lot of people will be there. And it'll be a lot of fun. Come on out. More information at MontgomeryCountyRepublicClub.com. Check it out. And our friends in Prince George's County have Vivek Ramaswamy speaking on October 3rd at the Bowie Comfort Inn. And it's a Tuesday night. Come on out to see Vivek. Tickets are only $100 a piece. And in this day and age of inflation, I hope they do the buffet like they did last year, which was actually the best food I've had at the PG County.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my picture taken with as many presidential candidates as I can. But Nikki Haley's event, how much was that? $1,000?
$1,000 a pop.
Yeah.
Next time. When Mitt Romney was running for,
you can buy her T-shirt for $7.99. So hey,
I think it's a really good price for a T-shirt, for a campaign T-shirt.
I think it's another, it's just another smart move. I mean, even though like Doug Burgum, was doing the $20 Biden economic relief card thing, I think the guy's got money, and why not try something a little bit like that to try to get people to contribute to your campaign so you qualify for the debate, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's about all I've got. And catch us again next week. It'll be one of our rare beach shows from the great state of Florida. And next week we have the presidential debates, so we'll have a lot of fun doing Friday morning quarterbacking of the debates. So anyway, see you everyone next week. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.